Now we have President Obama. He is defending his strategy to defeat ISIS. Watch this.
We are hitting ISIL harder than ever. Coalition aircraft, our fighters, bombers, and drones have been increasing the pace of airstrikes. In many places, ISIL's lost its freedom of maneuver because they know if they mass their forces, we will wipe them out. The point is, ISIL leaders cannot hide, and our next message to them is simple: you are next.
Now, even the president's top military guys contest that view of the battle against ISIS. They say ISIS is not contained. Ambassador John Bolton is with us to discuss what the president had to say yesterday. My first question is, look, a lot of people say, that's just not accurate, Mr. President. We're not winning the battle against ISIS. So my question to you, Ambassador, is, why is he saying this in the first place?
Because he's being confronted with a reality he doesn't want to admit, which is that the American people are increasingly coming to the correct judgment that his terrorism policies broadly are failing, and that specifically with respect to ISIS, they're failing very badly. We've been at this now for over a year. ISIS has suffered some setbacks in what used to be Syria and Iraq, that's true, but they've also had some successes. And their reach globally is growing. Boko Haram has declared their allegiance to ISIS. Libya looks to be an alternative base of operations if we really got serious about going after ISIS in Iraq and Syria. So overall, ISIS continues to be on the offensive, and their capability of carrying out terrorist attacks around the world, sadly, as we've seen in Paris and San Bernardino, continues to expand. The president is caught in an ideological trap of his own making. He continues to insist that terrorism is fundamentally a law enforcement matter rather than something we should consider in the paradigm of war. And as long as he believes that, he will fail.
Do you think he will change? I mean, if he's confronted with the reality of ISIS, if they expand some more, or if we get a terror attack, another terror attack in the United States linked to ISIS, does he have to change policy, turn around?
I think there's some chance at the margin reality will force him to change, but let's be clear, the president is an ideologue. He lives in a worldview that simply doesn't comport with reality. Facts obviously have not changed his worldview over the past 7 years. There's no reason to believe they will change over the next 12 months. So I think the risk is we will see the pace and scope of these terrorist threats increase in the next year with no material change operationally in what the Obama administration does.
Do you think the country's with him? I'm asking you to assess the mood of the country. Essentially, President Obama is saying, look, we're keeping our hands off. We're keeping distance from ISIS and the fight against ISIS. Is the country in favor of his policy?
Well, I don't think it is, but honestly, the real question is, what do you do to keep America safe? And I think that requires doing what the president himself has said his objective is, degrading and ultimately destroying ISIS. The problem is that I don't think Obama really means that. I do think you can see majorities of the American people who understand that our leadership is necessary to put together a coalition that can eliminate ISIS in Syria and Iraq, that it will require American boots on the ground, and that we are in a very long struggle against terrorism. I think the people are out ahead of their political leaders, and I think certainly in the Republican Party, whatever candidate is able to mobilize that sentiment could win the nomination and would beat Hillary Clinton in the general election, because she is Barack Obama's ideological twin on national security issues.
Very interesting stuff. Ambassador John Bolton, thanks as always for joining us, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Stuart.